People are always asking me, why do we choose the worst time of the year to do this project? It's the middle of winter, it's always freezing cold up here. But the great thing is that it's dark at 5:30, and that means heaps of people get to see our project.
So good evening and welcome to the 4th annual Winter Art Projection in association with Ian de Grucci. I'm pleased to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting tonight, their spirits and ancestors. Well, first of all, it's great to see so many of you brave people out here in this winter weather coming to share tonight in this experience of a winter art projection. Art projections have been embraced in recent years in Dandenong on this enormous scale and at a more human scale. The opportunity to use light to manipulate urban space has been constant in our programming. These projects help to animate the city at night. They offer warmth, light and movement to our experience of walking after dark. They make us feel safer, and the artwork surprises us, brings humour and wonder to that experience, and often lives longer in our memory than it physically lasts.
The show we're doing here in Dandenong is in 2 parts. So there's 15 slides for the first 2 weeks, and then a further 15 slides for the remaining 2 weeks. And so as you can imagine, for something that's this big, you need a big slide. So here's the slide carousel that we use, and this is the size of one of the slides.
Okay, let's look at the work and the intentions of the 10 artists here presented tonight. The first artist I'd like to mention, of course, is Ian de Grucci. Now, Ian has employed powerful graphics. You'll see those wonderful big graphic shapes. He reshapes the projected surface, manipulating the arrows itself, also creating currents and directions, sometimes opposing each other. So we see, we have a sort of duality of vision. We see 2 things going on at once. It sets up a sort of 2 methods of looking, so the shapes compete with prominence. And also the use of the basic use of primary colours amplifies the impact. Next artist, David Trout. David draws from his images of his native South Africa, and he uses the literal facility of photography in an abstract way. We know what the work is, but it takes us a little longer to recognise it. It requires us a process of slower recognition. The graphic strength of the colours interfere with our desire to interpret literally.
The great thing about the location for this winter art projection is that we're right near the Afghan precinct, and so all of the shops down here that sell kebabs late into the night are the beneficiaries of something like this happening on such an extraordinary scale in the middle of winter.
Kassar Manjani draws on her Persian heritage to present a visual jewel box of powerful directional sensations. The esoteric strength of the tile surfaces and their internal rhythms illustrate just how right the Muslim world was to resort to abstraction for spiritual expression. Kassar's 2 other, and what I choose to call more secular slides, manipulate mundane and, like an alchemist, turn base images into a kind of visual gold. It's also difficult to completely and quickly interpret James Carey's slides. They're familiar to our senses, but they don't meet our expectations.